against domestication process of Nigerian Startup Act. ECOWAS Parliament seeks for unconditional release of Niger President Bazoum. Supreme Court suspend Italian move to send migrants to Albania. Before the news in detail, here is a special message. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values. Let's give him maximum support for the task ahead. Good evening and welcome. My name is Chinyere Ikoreke. Official scientific data show that out-of-home advertising usage in the Nigerian media mix has continued in a steady decline in recent years, dropping from 22.5% in 2018 to a abysmal low of 6.1% in 2023. Worried by this trend, which has been observed to have continuously reoccurring in just less than 5 years, it impacts on the local economy and determined to maximize the potential of the sector in Anambra State. In particular, the Anambra State Signage and Advertisement Agency, ANSA, has organized the first ever Anambra Out-of-Home Advertising Roundtable in Awka. Correspondent David Ogokwasili reports.
Themed, providing the environment for a viable out-of-home advertising practice in Anambra State and drawing critical stakeholders in the advertising industry, art firms and agencies, regulatory organizations, brands, government, policymakers, security agencies and community leaders. The roundtable hoped to deliver necessary value that is rich enough to grow the industry for the benefit of brands, advertisers and the entire industry in the state. Speaking at the event, Governor Chukwuma Soludo, represented by the Commissioner for Industry, Mr. Christian Udechukwu, recounted some of the achievements and plans of his government in creating a safe and enabling business environment for businesses to thrive, explaining that already the policies are yielding necessary results and giving birth to new growing industries and industrial clusters in the state.
We are building new industrial clusters. We're building an industrial city. We're looking at Onitsha 2.0, Awka 2.0. We're building economic free zones. We're building industrial export zones. And we've applied for all of that for NAPZ. I believe early in the new year we'll get certification to set up a domestic export warehouse.
We must be able to justify scientifically. And that is why we need to partner with the out-of-home operators to have a basis that is reasonable, that is acceptable, that the client, the advertiser, is able to accommodate.
Let's tell brands, the big brands in the country, let's bring them to and ask them, why are we not? Why don't you see a lot of MTN? I've already seen a lot of Coca-Cola, 7-Up, the big brands. What is it that is wrong with us? Is it with the way we practice out of home, or is it in the manner we protect assets? That's why we said, let's have this conversation so that we can increase their spend in our state. Because when they spend more in our state, they create more jobs. The value chain gap, in the industry will be met.
The roundtable also featured panel discussions that looked at some of the different strengths, challenges, weaknesses, and dangers facing the growth of out-of-home advertising sector in the state, such as tackling touts, vandalism, and extortions in the practice environment, strategies for strengthening community practitioners' relationship, standardizing billboard structures and practices, and on Anambra as a premier advertising destination, unlocking the Anambra potential. The agreements during the panel discussions are that there must be a synergy between the government and the organized private sector, and that the key stakeholders must be involved in strength and potential analysis and alignment to achieve a better operating environment for out-of-home advertisements in Anambra State. Some of the key stakeholders who spoke at the event include the Special Advisor to Governor Chukwuma Soludo on Security, Air Vice Marshal Ben Chubi, the Director General, Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ACON, Dr. Olaleko Fadolapo, represented by the Director of Regulation Relations in the Council, Mato Onyebuchi, and the President, Association of Advertising Agencies of Nigeria, AAN, Mr. Steve Babeko, represented by Mr. Phyllis Osubo. Others include President of Advertisers Association of Nigeria, ADFA, Mr. Osamede Owabuwen, former Managing Director, Anambra State Signage and Advertisement Agency, Dr. Jude Emetuta, former President of Outdoor Advertising Association of Nigeria, OAN, Mr. Emmanuel Ajufo, and the Director General on Business School, Professor Uchegu Chobesho in Oka. I am David Okwaso reporting for ABS News.
Anambra State government has expressed readiness to adopt and localize the Nigerian Startup Act aimed at providing legal framework for the tech industry in the state. It will also assist youth in the ICT sector develop entrepreneurship with their innovation. Correspondent Chibuzo Obidike has status.
The Nigerian Startup Act is a national legal and policy framework that seeks to create an enabling environment for technology-enabled startups and entrepreneurs in Nigeria. The Act provides for establishing innovation hubs, startup fund, technology parks, and other support structures that will help startups thrive in Nigeria economy. It was on this note that the Solution Innovation District organized an ecosystem stakeholder engagement in Oka targeted at unbundling the many prospects of the Act. The engagement drew stakeholders from small and medium-scale enterprises, SMEs, tech hubs, academia, government, and others who gathered at the Seed Center for a collaborative discussion on the domestication of the Act. Speaking at the event, the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Mrs. Chiamaka Anake, challenged the stakeholders to ensure that the Act, when domesticated, thrives and not just to exist for existing sake, and pointed out that the ICT sector in Anambra State to achieve great strides among the committee of states in the country, there will be need to key into the Nigeria Startup Initiative.
It's actually trying to protect the integrity of the startup ecosystem. I know with startups saying them it's a trend and it's a trendy thing to be a part of it, to be a startup. But I know that in the past few years, you've seen some just get up, raise funds, and then they collapse.
Indian Anambra, to see how Indian Anambra and anybody who's interested can raise funds, add those funds to the state, aggregate it, and impact the sector. Essentially, chase ideas, chase innovations, provide all sorts of capital, from seed level capital, pre-seed, equity, soft debt, all sorts of things.
The whole idea is that each state should look at its comparative advantage, should look at its own realities, and then conform the law to suit those realities. So, for example,
the convener of the event and special advisor to the governor on innovation and business incubation, Mrs. Chinwe Okoli, said that the state government, through the seed, is championing the domestication of the Act in the state. Thus, is committed to ensure that the eventual law, when the Act is domesticated, will reflect the peculiarities of Anambra State and serves to build a stronger innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. In their individual remarks, the Dean, Student Affairs, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka, Professor Chinonso Achebe, and Professor Kingsley Nwozo of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Iwariamu, acknowledged that the Startup Act, if adopted by the state government, would revolutionize ICT and advised youths to take advantage of the initiative to make money legally in ICT rather than engage in cyber crimes. Other stakeholders who spoke at the event acknowledged the prospect of the initiative while hinting that the project would also assist ICT entrepreneurs with funds to grow their innovations. In Oka, Chibuzo Obidike, ABS News.
In a festive celebration of joy and unity, the management of Federal Polytechnic Oko has collaborated with the 3 chaplaincies within the institution to host the 2023 Festival of Christmas Carol and Night Lessons. The chaplaincies are Chapel of Light, Chapel of Transfiguration, and St. Augustine's Chaplaincy Oko. Correspondent Emmanuel Okonkwo or Emmanuel Chibata reports that the event held at the Polytechnic's Convocation Arena brought together students and staff in a harmonious display of Christmas cheers. His reports.
The occasion commenced with a heartwarming hymn, Once in a Royal David City, featuring representatives from each chaplaincy donned in resplendent robes and outfits. The atmosphere was electrified with the melodic strains of classical and traditional carols echoing through the air, setting the tone for an afternoon filled with spiritual reflection and communal celebration. The central focus of the event was the 9 lessons each delivered by a member of the Polytechnic's academic and administrative community. The lessons, rooted in the essence of Christmas, aimed to inspire reflection on themes of love, hope, and unity, fostering a sense of camaraderie among the attendees. As the carols and 9 lessons unfolded, attendees were treated to mesmerizing performances by the choir of the 3 chaplaincies, with their renditions of classic carols and tunes like And the Glory of God, O Thou Tellest, and Ekeresimesi Rutego resonated through the arena, elevating the festive spirit. In her speech, the rector of the Polytechnic, Dr. Francis Kanwafulugu, said the annual Christmas Festival of Carols was initiated 3 years ago in order to promote and encourage interfaith partnership, cooperations, and to foster unity, love, and familyhood in the Polytechnic community, while describing Christmas as a celebration of the love of God. The rector disclosed that her administration has recorded substantial progress with the construction of 17 buildings and many other ongoing infrastructural projects.
And I pray that the and we're able to achieve
Reminiscing the birth of Jesus Christ in a sermon, the chaplain, Chapel of Transfiguration, Reverend Canon Chigozie Obiwulu, explained that the birth of Jesus Christ was very historic, prophetic, and lowly, depicting the depravity of man.
Angels heralded his birth. Angels heralded his birth. The Bible said there were shepherds who were keeping watch over their flocks by night, and an angel appeared to them. Why? To announce the birth of Jesus.
The event was officiated by the chaplains of Chapel of Light, Reverend Canon Emmanuel Ogudoro, St. Augustine's Chaplaincy, Reverend Father John Umojako, and the chaplain of Transfiguration Oko, Reverend Canon Obiwulu. Acting Registrar Mr. Obinu Onochukwu and the Public Relations Officer of the institution, Mr. Chijoke Ibeziako, were part of the dignitaries that graced the occasion.
Good-spirited businessmen and women of Relief Market of Baru has distributed cash and food items worth over 5 million naira to indigent men and women in the market and beyond. The distribution exercise, which took place during the market's end-of-year prayer, was to help cushion the effects of economic crisis on poor citizens and also give them a sense of belonging this Yuletide. Correspondent Faith Onyemauchi has details.
In a sermon during the event, the Anglican Bishop of Obaru Diocese, Right Reverend Prosper Ama, who said that the Festival of 9 Lessons and Carol is part of activities lined up in the diocese to herald the second coming of Jesus Christ. Bishop Ama, who stressed the need for Christians to desist from acts capable of making Christmas lose its concept and meaning, urged the people, especially the affluent, to remember the vulnerable in their midst during the Christmas to give them sense of belonging, and regretted the high cost of living in the country. Right Reverend Amma, who spoke on the mysteries behind the birth of Jesus Christ, maintained that Jesus came in human form in order to reconcile man with God. The Obaru Bishop reminded the faithful of God's love to mankind, which he said is significant behind the name Emmanuel, which means God is with us, urging Christians to truly believe that the presence of God is with us and desist from facing the devil and its cohorts. He urged the federal government to map out measures that will improve the living standard of the people.
That God is with you. And that God who is with you, he is never a reluctant faith. If you live in this consciousness, I tell you, you will still live up. Why? Our God is the Almighty God.
During the service, the Lagos secretary of the diocese, Barrister Ike Nwanebu, took the 6th lesson taken from the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 2, verse 1 to 7, which is on the tale of Christ's birth in the stable, while Mrs. Shalom Akachukwu read the first lesson from Genesis chapter 3, verse 8 to 15 on the fall of man. The Festival of Nine Lessons and Carol, which was attended by the president of Obaro Diocesan Women Ministry, Dr. Uche Ama, some diocesan officials, knights and ladies auxiliary, school children and uniformed organizations, featured special prayer for those in leadership positions, various families, Anambra State and the Nigerian nation, as well as general thanksgiving. The cathedral choir also added color to the event. Esther Asanya, ABS News.
The Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament, Seyi Tunis, has asked the military juntas in Niger Republic to show goodwill by releasing President Mohamed Bazoum and his family if it wants the sanction imposed on the country lifted. The Speaker, who was responding to the plea by the members of Africans Without Borders, a civil society organization for the Africans who had visited him in his office in Abuja to prevail on him and the parliament to support their advocacy for lifting of sanctions on Niger so as to reduce the hardship people in that country face every day. Tasked the delegation to prevail on the juntas to unconditionally release Bazoum and his family and set a sure transition to returning the country to constitutional governance. Princess Ekwe Ajide, ABS Abuja Bureau Chief, has details.
The Speaker recalled that there has been no breakthrough since the military junta ousted the democratically elected government in Niger, in spite of several efforts made by the bloc. According to him, ECOWAS is more interested in what is happening in Niger, as it has sent delegation to investigate the situation after the military coup, but needs citizens to assist lessen the effects with their intervention as well, and assure them that the ECOWAS will continue to be on the side of the people. Speaker Tunis sent a message to the leadership of Niger through the group to clearly show some goodwill if they really want the sanctions to be lifted, promising that they will lead the advocacy to ensure it is lifted by the ECOWAS authority. The Speaker, however, clarified that they were not asking for the reinstatement of President Bazoum, but for his unconditional release from the military detention and that of his family members.
But let them release him from detention. That will help the dialogue. That will help us also to convince the authority of Edo State. That will help us to convince the president of the commission. And I can assure you, if that happened today, we can instigate an immediate emergency summit.
Earlier, the president of Africa Without Borders, Mr. Ziwane Abdul Ramahan, had, while commending the ECOWAS for its contribution to Niger so far, decried the negative effect of the sanctions on the citizenry and their neighbors. He prayed that the region will stay strong and together in spite of the recent hard times, especially as the masses in Niger and some other countries in the sub-region are facing dire situations. In Abuja, Princess Ekwe Ajide reporting.
On the foreign scene, a plan for Italy to send tens of thousands of asylum seekers to Albania for processing has been temporarily blocked by the Albanian Supreme Court. The top court ordered a hearing next month to decide whether the deal violates Albania's constitution. Under the agreement, the Italian government will build 2 centers in northern Albania to process 36,000 people hoping to reach Italy a year. But the opposition in both countries and rights groups have criticized it. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and her Albanian counterpart Edi Rama signed the agreement last month. Under the deal, some 3,000 people a month who had attempted to reach Italy by sea would be detained in 2 processing centers near the northeastern port of Schengen, where their asylum claims were examined. The centers will be paid for by the Italian government and will be under Italian law. Italian staff would be responsible for operation and would have immunity from Albanian law in certain cases. In sport, in search for a first ever ICC T20 World Cup ticket, Nigeria would hope to take a step closer by reaching the semi-final of the ongoing African qualifiers for UAE and Bangladesh 2024 when they come up against host Uganda in their last group game at the Entebbe Cricket Oval on Thursday. It is the third meeting between both teams this year and the fifth since 2021. Uganda have won 3 of the last 4 meetings between both sides, but the female yellowed greens will hope to get consecutive victories against the 18th ranked team, having beaten them in June by 3 wickets at the 2023 Kubwaka tournament in Rwanda. Lucky Paiti and Purity Aboya have had standout performances for Nigeria in the first 2 games, and coach Leke Oyede said he is looking forward to more brilliant performances from the entire team. That's the news tonight, but remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by liking our Facebook page at Anambra Broadcasting Service. Subscribe to our YouTube page at ABS Television Oka. On X at ABS Radio TV, on Instagram at ABS Radio TV. You can also log on to our website at www.absradiotv.com. The main point again, answer head Anambra out-of-home advertising roundtable. Anambra State government has commenced domestication process of Nigerian startup art. ECOWAS Parliament is seeking for unconditional release of Niger President Bazoum. Supreme Court has suspended Italian move to send migrants to Albania. To end the news, here is a special message. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values. Let's give him maximum support for the task ahead. Thanks for being there. My name is Chinyere Ikioreke. Good night.